Hello and welcome, one and all. Today's video is the second part of The Creature from Beyond the Veil. If you haven't watched the first, you can head to my YouTube channel and watch it there, or by clicking the link below or the one above. Now, let's continue from where we left off. Mayflower found the herald waiting outside the inn, his obsidian claws tucked awkwardly behind his back. The wind teased her hair into a halo of crimson petals. "I hope you aren't waiting long," she said. No, I just got here," he stammered, flustered. "Very well, then let's go." She led him to the ancient library known as the Grand Forest, a labyrinth of living shelves that hummed with memories. They wandered aisles choked with tombs bound in hide and birch bark. From the shelves she picked a book called Creatures of the Abyssal Maw. Mayflower read aloud, tracing a page depicting tales of leviathans swallowing ships whole, sky sovereigns of floating isles, volcanic dwellers, keepers of the ancient smithies, and the lost art of volcanic fusion. And lastly, the eternal blossomers, the ancient sculptures said to have made gardens resembling villages from singing trees and rivers of nectar. Hours bled away like sap from a wounded tree, their search yielding no answers about the herald's origins. Yet it was not in vain, for in the silence between dusty tombs and crumbling scrolls, Mayflower's voice wove through the air, sweet as a melody plucked from a river nymph's lute. Her laughter thawed the chill of his solitude, her enthusiasm igniting like fireflies in twilight. She spoke of Loragan lore, how their ancestor had sculpted this village, their breath a balm that coaxed life from barren soil. To the herald, her words were more than history, they were a hymn, fragile and radiant, stitching color into his ash-gray existence. Disheartened that her tale came to an end, he sighed. Perhaps I am meant to be a mystery. Mayflower clasped his hands. Let's change the mood. At the library's exit, Daisy and Jasmine ambushed them, dragging the pair to Star's Hope, a restaurant where dishes floated on clouds of cotton steam. As they sat, Mayflower pulled Jasmine to the side and whispered, "Cancel the test." She agreed, seeing the herald's disheveled form, and sent a message from her crystal. After finishing their meal, they exited the restaurant and took a shortcut through an alley strung with luminescent fungi. Sadly, shadows steered. Three thugs emerged, half dragon, half wolf hybrids, their claws dripping venom. "Pretty flower shouldn't wander," one snarled. The herald moved first, a blur of obsidian. Two thugs fell, bones crunching. The third lunged at Mayflower. The herald's eyes shifted into yellow irises and red pupils. A blade of blackened crystal fell from the sky, impaling the thug mid-leap. The herald laughed, a sound like grinding bones, and slaughtered the thugs. Both Jasmine and Daisy fainted, crumbling to the cobblestone like petals severed from their stems. The herald turned towards them, his iris still blazing yellow, his claws glistening with blood. Mayflower, heart hammering, gathered every shred of courage blooming in her chest. She stepped between him and her fallen friends, her voice a fragile melody beneath the alley's echoes. "It's all right. Please stop. It's all over," she whispered, trembling, as she reached up to press her palm to his cheek. His skin, normally cool as river stone, burned like a forge. She whispered, "Please." He pierced into her eyes and saw a reflection of himself. The madness in his eyes flickered. The yellow faded from his irises like the setting sun, and the red bled from his pupils leaving only the familiar void black. He staggered back, clutching his head as if wrestling ghosts. That's when road guards descended, pinning the herald. Their lances crossed at his throat. You said the phrase, Lady Mayflower, one hissed. We answered, said another. He saved us, he screamed, pointing towards the decapitated thugs. The elders will decide, spit one of the guards. They dragged the herald away, his silhouette swallowed by the alley's shadow. Mayflower stared at them, fists clenched. You jerks! At least help us, she shouted, her voice cracking. The robed figures did not turn back. Gritting her teeth, Mayflower knelt beside her friends. With a flick of her wrist, vines slithered from her fingertips, weaving into a stretcher of thorn and blossoms beneath Jasmine and Daisy. The magic drained her. Their bodies felt heavier than stone. But she pressed on, carrying them throughout the streets, now hushed under a bruised twilight sky. After settling them in the guest room, Mayflower rushed out, her floral dress still stained with pollen and dirt. As she neared a stall near her home, a quaint stall selling bioluminescent blooms and enchanted trinkets, she collided with Daisy's and Jasmine's husband. Daisy's husband, a broad-shouldered Florigan with bark-like scales, gripped her shoulder. Mayflower, where's the Daisy? You were supposed to meet us here hours ago. Jasmine's mate hovered behind him, his wings twitching like agitated butterflies. And Jasmine, where is she? What happened? We've been calling with the crystal, but there was no answer. Mayflower steadied herself, guilt tightening her throat. They're resting at my house. Here's the keys. I'm sorry. I'll explain later. There's something urgent I must do. Before they could protest, she darted past the stalls, glowing marigold lanterns, her sandals slapping against cobblestone, still warm from the day's sun. Behind her, the husbands exchanged panicked glances before sprinting towards her home. Ahead, the grand hall loomed, its doors like a maw waiting to swallow her whole. Deep within the grand hall's bowels lay a dungeon hewn from ancient stone, its walls echoed with runes that hummed with forgotten power. Once it housed beasts whose roar shook continents and artifacts that devoured stars. Now it held only the herald, shackled to the chamber of the feline beast, the old ruler of this once fearsome dungeon. A room scarred by centuries of claw marks and dried blood. Footsteps echoed. The herald strained against his chains, obsidian claws scraping stone. Who's there? Why am I here? His irises flickered yellow, pupils bleeding red, then dimmed. A sea and soul fire entered, their faces lit by a lone torch. Good evening, said C, his platinum hair glowing like a forest. He removed his robe. The scar on his chest pulsed a grotesque, glowing fissure. Its purple black tendrils writhing like serpents beneath his skin. Child, he said, voice hollow as a burial chime. When the elders claimed ignorance of your kind, they spoke true. For you see, only I lied. I've met your kin before. The scar was given to me by one of them. The herald leaned forward, chains clicking. Where? Turning his face, he answered, in the lost city of Breeze. I remember it like it was yesterday. The Breeze folk were quite unique. They wielded magic unlike any other. Teleportation as effortless as breath. No mana wasted. No complex equations needed to be solved. But sadly, Even their brilliance could not stand before her. For you see, they could never imagine the catastrophe that would befall them. He closed his eyes, the memory a blade. She appeared like a black sun, her presence a blight that choked the life from the meadows and orchards. Spells meant to hold her, twisted into curses that devoured their casters. She used your kin as shields to protect from the incoming attacks. Your kin, they looked empty and hollow, no signs of intelligence or free will like you or her. They just did what she commanded. The dungeon's torchlight carved grooves into his face as he continued. The city fell. I tried to flee, but she cornered me. I'll never forget that day. Like a madman, laughing through a mouth of broken teeth, one arm mangled, an eye socket weeping black sludge. She pinned me with a corroded blade. She hissed into my ears, remember this, as she carved the curse into my flesh. A warning and a promise, she said. The herald turned his face to the shadowed corner, claws scraping stone as these words coiled around his heart like thorns. His fur, once lustrous as midnight, dulled to ash grey, empty and hollow. He did not know what to think as the chains bit deeper. See downed his robe, the scar's violet pulse muted beneath it. A beat of silence, then footsteps echoed from the dungeon's throat. Both elder tense, spells crackling at their fingertips. As shadows pooled at the cell's entrance, a shout shattered the silence. Stop! Mayflower surged into the torchlight, vines snarling from her wrist to smother the elder's magic. I heard everything from the moss on these walls. He's not a monster. He was able to come back to his senses. Soulfire stepped forward, scales flickering like dying coal. And if he loses control again, should we risk the lives of the villagers for your whim? What about your life or your friends? If the guards hadn't interfered, I dread even the thought of it. Mayflower, losing her composure, said, your guards came because I parroted your stupid phrase, she cried, pulling, trembling in her hair. He saved us. She raised a hand. Enough. He'll be banished to the northern waste as our final act of mercy. Mercy, you say? By sending him to his death like a goat to slaughter? By exiles, he shouted, a land of ash and stone where he'll harm no one. Mayflower whirled to the herald. Do you accept this? The room fell silent. Please, she begged. His voice clawed free. I don't want to hurt you. I can't. Mayflower knelt, her palm against his cheek. His fur warmed into cherry pink beneath her touch. Let me help you. I'll help you learn to control your powers. Together, I'm certain we'll succeed. She scoffed. Madness. Crossing his arms, the torchlight deepening the shadows beneath his platinum brows. It's too dangerous. We cannot. Mayflower turned to her father, eyes glistening. Please. Soulfire scales flickered, the fire in them dimming as he sighed. Old friend, you know well of a father's heart. We'd raise mountains for our children. Let's give it a try. Sea scar pulsed beneath his robe. Fine, but where will he stay? The inn is unfit. I will not place others in danger for his comfort. Your house shelters two women, one unwed. and do not expect my home to harbor him. Mayflower stepped forward, her floral dress rustling like wind through a meadow. I'll marry him, then he can live with us. The herald's fur rippled from obsidian black, bleeding into floral pink, his claws retracting in shock. Soulfire stiffened. It is true that if you wed him, he may stay, but marriage is no game. It is a vow that binds and unites souls together for all eternity. I know, Mayflower said, lifting her chin. I fancy him. He's kind. Even if I've known him briefly, my heart is certain. Soulfire turned towards the herald. And you, I loathe to wed my child to a stranger. I consent only because you'll live under my roof. The herald's pink fur deepened to rose gold. I would love nothing more, sir. I, I adore her. His voice trembled, giddy as a sapling in spring. Soulfire grunted. The wedding will be in a month. Time to prepare. Freed from the chains, the herald trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of a future unshackled. Mayflower brushed a claw with her thumb. Now that we are to wed, she said, her voice trembling with resolve, you'll need a proper name. I don't want people to keep calling you he, him, that guy, or traveler. You deserve a proper name, one that belongs solely to you. He agreed, his claws retracting into trembling hands. Then what will it be? His fur shimmered turquoise, curiosity and excitement wrapping his obsidian form. I've never even thought of needing a name. Your name will be. She paused, her thumb brushing his knuckle. For now, I do not know, but later, when we get to know each other, Mayflower squeezed his hand. I'm certain we'll find your name together. A faint cerulean bloomed across his fur as they walked out of the room, bright as a summer sky, but it faded back to void black as they reached the dungeon's exit. Soulfire lingered in the shadows, his scales flickering like dying embers. Head home. C and I must meet with the council. As they stepped into the moonlight, the day ended and another began, with the council's fractured consensus. Though the elders understood why C had spied, schemed, whilst clutching at shadows, they could not forgive the betrayal. Reluctantly, they sentenced him to a temporary exile, stripping him of his title like bark from a dying tree. For the village, she muttered, bowing with a stiffness that betrayed his rage. He returned to a home cloaked in dust and memory. At the doorway, he paused, his scar pulsing in time with his ragged breath. There, on a cracked oak shelf, sat a framed relic, a remnant of a life lost to the ever marching echoes of time. I miss you, he rasped, stroking the glass with trembled fingers. His touch lingered on a face. The frame hummed faintly, as though whispers of the past still clung to its edges. As the words he uttered dissolved into silence, the air thickened. Somewhere in the shadows, a floorboard cracked, a sound too deliberate to be the house settling. Days bled into weeks as Mayflower unraveled the tapestry of Forlagan life for the Herald. His fur became a living chronicle of emotion. Crimson when his claws shattered pens during lessons, frustration burning like embers, jade green when envy coiled in his chest, as villagers laughed in easy camaraderie, their bonds unbroken, turquoise while his longing for kinship pierced him. A hue as fragile as ice, melting under the weight of his solitude. One twilight, beneath a sky streaked with fading gold and violet, Mayflower halted their lessons. Why does your fur keep changing? The herald stiffened, his claws dug into his arm, fur sickening to sulphur yellow. I don't know. She cradled his hand, her thumbs brushing the obsidian ridges of his knuckles. It's all right. You don't have to say anything. I'll wait until you're ready. His breath hissed. When he finally spoke, the words were jacket, home from some dark crevices within. When I saw that you were in danger, and my eyes turned gold, something awoke, a voice. It whispered, Kill, kill, kill. Mayflower's grip tightened, her fluorescent enveloping him. And now? Silence, he whispered, fur fading to buttercup yellow as her palm gazed his cheek. You silenced it. She said nothing. Her silence, a bomb. But for now, in this fragile moment, there was only her hand on his face and the colors they dared to believe in. Weeks later, as the wedding day loomed, Mayflower burst into the herald's room, her wings fluttering with excitement. Today is the lunar festival. We need to purchase some garments, she declared enthusiastically. The herald's fur blazed orange, a hue of unbridled joy. What's the lunar festival? It's a celebration of endings and beginnings, she said, pulling him by the hand. You'll see when we get there. As they hurried downstairs, Mayflower's mother, a floragin with wings like autumn leaves, blocked their path. Where are you two going off to? To buy festival clothes, Mayflower chirped. Did you ask your father? Oops, Mayflower winced, darting to Soulfire's study. The room was a labyrinth of knowledge. Shelves groaned under tomes of ancient spells, maps of the northern waste, and a painting at the center of the room, depicting a meadow where a violet flower tree stood beneath a twilight sky. Soulfire looked up from his desk, scales dulled by worry, as he could hear from a distance the sound of footsteps getting closer. Mayflower entered, asking for his consent. Soulfire, placing the book that he was reading aside, took off his glasses. Go, he sighed, but be careful. Leaving the house, they headed towards a tailor's stall. At the stall, Mayflower chose a dark purple gown, embroidered with indigo peonies, their petals bleeding into constellations. For the herald, she selected a black shirt stamped with fuchsia blossoms and trousers threaded with jade vines. When paired, the patterns merged, flowers blooming from vines, as if they were alive. Why such dark colors? He asked. Fur, mottling, storm cloud gray. Tomorrow the month's end, Mayflower said, adjusting his collar, and to celebrate the birth of a new month. As night fell, the village erupted into a symphony of color. Lanterns shaped like blooming flowers and winged beasts floated into the sky, their glow mingling with petals torn from gardens by jubilant wind. Around them, the village hummed with distant laughter, the streets thrummed with life. Mayflower and the herald wandered hand in hand, their festival garments rippling like living art. As they wandered, they stood at a stall, crackling with magic. He asked her, What is this game called? She giggled. It's called Magic Ball. It brings back so many childhood memories. I would beg my father to allow me to play. It's quite easy. All you have to do is make a pure sphere of mana and make it pass through the gate before it closes completely. You have to make sure the size of the sphere is not too big, because the opening gets smaller and smaller with every passing second. The herald's fur shimmered cerulean as he conjured a sphere of pure mana. His surface swirling like a liquid. After several failed attempts, he focused, the spear shrinking and darting through the gate that flickered like a mirage. The stallkeeper handed him a plush of a red panda, his eyes gleaming ruby red. For you, he said, offering it to Mayflower. She hugged it tightly, her wings fluttering. Thank you. Nearby, they saw another game called Capture the Star. It's a game that proved trickier for the Herald, for you see, in this game you have to capture a star-shaped mana object by using a small net provided by the stall keeper. After a number of tries, his fur blazed crimson as his net swept empty air, the mana star evading him with taunting grace. Mayflower stepped forward, coins clinking into the skull keeper's palm. With a flick of her wrist, she snared the star effortlessly, earning a dragon plush with scales like molten gold. For you, she said, pressing it into his hands. His fur softened to rose pink. I'll treasure it. They wandered hand in hand through streets alive with laughter, lanterns bobbing overhead like captured stars. A stall draped in silks and shadows halted them. Masks of mystic beasts stared back, carved with precision that bordered on sorcery. The herald froze, obsidian claws tightening around Mayflower's hand, enamored by the craftsmanship. Mayflower laughed, plucking a mask bearing the vestige of a storm bird from the rack, crimson and orange feathers bleeding into a beak of polished obsidian. For you, she said, tying it over his face. May you be free like the storm bird. The herald's fur rippled light yellow, his talons brushing a mask bearing resemblance to that of the flower spirit, emerald leaves cradling a bloom of blood-red glass. And this for you, he murmured, securing it over her eyes, a creature of beauty, like his wearer. Arm in arm they drifted towards the heart of the festival, masks hiding their grins. From a shadowed alley, Jasmine and Daisy watched. Should we greet them? Daisy whispered, clutching a candied orchard as she walked towards them. Jasmine yanked her back. Let the lovebirds be. Daisy pouted. Where's your husband? Near the grand tree, Jasmine said, checking her crystal. Yours? Lost as always, but I'm sure he'll meet us with yours. Until then, let's feast. They vanished into the throng, devouring cotton candy shaped like a tree, honeyed figs, and strawberries covered in chocolate, their laughter trailing like perfume. The grand tree loomed ahead, its gnarled bark etched with runes older than memory. Mayflower halted. Slowly she took off her mask and said, look closely at the tree. Today you'll learn of the reason why I always put off telling you about the tree whenever you ask about it. The herald focused his vision on the tree. As all the lanterns dimmed, the tree shuddered. Leaves glowing as spirit erupted from its trunk. Translucent, iridescent beings that spiraled into the sky, scattering dust that clung to the onlookers' garments like pollen. Darkness fled from the crowd's clothing, replaced by vibrant hues. Mayflower's gown became liquid amethyst, the herald's shirt a canvas of glowing vines. She turned, hands clasped behind her back. This is the reason why. I thought it would be better for you to experience it firsthand. Now, close your eyes." The herald chuckled and said, "All right." As he closed them, she told him to extend and open his hand. Doing so, she placed her fingers on his palm and said, "Prism, that will be your name. Do you like it?" His fur ignited, sunshine yellow, as he let out a smile. "Prism," he echoed, the word a key turning in his soul. "I love it, thank you," he said, whilst embracing her tightly. Moments later, as they sat looking at the sight, Jasmine and Daisy materialized, their husbands trailing behind them. As their hands were filled with bags, they greeted the pair and asked them what's going on. Mayflower, her grin similar to that of a crescent moon, told them that she finally gave the herald a name. "Prism!" Daisy squealed, nearly dropping her candy. "It's perfect." "A beautiful one," Prism said, whilst his claws brushed Mayflower's hands gently. Jasmine smirked, twirling a lock of lavender hair. "Prism, fitting. He's a storm of colors, that one. All those hues, like light shattering into beauty." Mayflower hid her face, cheeks blooming rose. "It's just a name," Daisy interrupted, pointing to the distance. "Look at them," she said, her voice softening. "Never thought I'd see our husbands laughing with Prism. Maybe they'll actually become friends." Jasmine let out a faint laugh and said, "You know what they say, boys always make friends quite easily." As the group wandered, Prism's fur shifted, pearl white when Mayflower leaned into him, twilight purple when Spruce grazed his shoulder, a living tapestry of hope. Thus, they continued to enjoy what remains of the festival. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Until the next video, which will be the finale of this story, I hope to see you there.